has an outsized influence for the world, especially when it comes to the military. Everything involving an IDF soldier is closely watched and scrutinized, analyzed by the foreign press. Anything from announcements or updates over conflicts or shootings, statements about new projects, real-time updates on war, and more. The international media pays extra close attention to the Israel Defense Forces. A new training program recently finished up at the IDC near Tel Aviv to strengthen the IDF's legitimacy in foreign media coverage and help improve the IDF's image abroad. 20 commanders have been trained to be new representatives for the foreign press. To talk more about this initiative and the training that just wrapped up, with me in studio is IDF Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, who is the international spokesperson for the IDF, and Yaniv Cohen, the CEO of the Abba Eban Institute for Diplomacy at IDC Herzliya. Thank you, gentlemen, both for being with me. Lieutenant Colonel, I want to start with you with a simple question. Why is it important for the IDF to improve its image in the eyes of the foreign media?
Not only to improve, but as you very correctly said, to maintain and strengthen our international legitimacy. Because, as you know, the IDF fights, operates on ground, at sea, in the air, in the cyber domain, and also in the realm of the of information. And it's important for us to have the best tools available, the best spokespeople at our disposal, and that's exactly the aim of the Rimon Program, to take the best and the brightest in the IDF, officers from all over the IDF, men and women, combat duty, staff duty, developers, engineers, commanders on the ground, train them the best we can, and then send them forward to engage with the media and the international audience.
Yaniv, tell me more about the training itself at IDC. I mean, these are not experienced reporters or diplomats, they're IDF soldiers. How do you select the best and brightest, and how do you mold them to be ambassadors for the world media?
So the idea was, we actually selected them together, but the idea was to have, diplomacy today is not as it used to be. Diplomats or people that represent the country are not just the MFA diplomats, people from business sector, from the academic sector, and also, yes, the officer that stands on CNN and explain about last night's operation. Now, what we try to do is to provide them with both the practical tools and the theoretical knowledge, because in order to do that job well, in order to represent the IDF and the State of Israel, you need to know both things. And this is what we do at the Abba Eban Institute for International Diplomacy on many aspects of our work, try to make Israeli diplomacy more innovative, effective, and proactive, and this is part of our mission statement.
Do you think a lot of it is ignorance on the realities, perhaps the complex life here in the Middle East? They just don't, people don't understand the reasons perhaps the IDF does certain things, or the missions that they undertake. Is it anti-Semitism? Is it hatred of Israel? Is it just maybe sometimes they just get confused by what's going on here? A mix of all of it?
So I wouldn't go that far. I think that the international media try to paint a picture, and the way that IDF presents its work and the way that the State of Israel presents its work should be one that is relevant for the relevant target audience. And you cannot explain the work for different target audiences on different states, on different platforms the same way. And this is what we try to provide. You know, we say, there is an old saying that those who cannot do, teach. We try to take it a bit differently and say that those who do the best should teach others how it should be done. And this is what we try to do with the program. We brought, you know, Ambassador Ron Prosser, the Ambassador Alan Pincus, people from the media sector like Yaron Dekel, and even your own David Matalin was there to teach those guys and give them the practical tools on how to do it on the field.
One relatively new aspect for the IDF and also for the media around the world is the advance of social media. Just a few years ago, now everything is on video. Everyone is chiming in with what they claim is a fact, a video that they believe to be true. How has that reshaped your job and the mission of the IDF Spokesperson's Unit because of all of the information that's out there on social media?
I think you're very correct, and I'll loop back to your question about what is it that the IDF and the State of Israel, but what is it that the IDF faces when we engage with the international media? And I'll be a bit blunter than my colleague, Yaniv.
Let's call it like it is, right? Talkless here.
And I'll say that we face bias, we face unfair reporting, sometimes we face slander, and it has happened many times that we have to confront lies and outright.
You personally, the questions you get sometimes from foreign reporters, you can say you get the sense it's bias against Israel, not just a genuine interest.
Unfortunately, many times. Now, I'm not here to sit and complain. That's not what a military officer does. What we do is we identify a problem and we find a solution. One of the solutions is to be better equipped in terms of our ability to communicate and to have a greater width of, or an abundance of officers capable of giving that message. Now, social media, indeed, it is the up and coming and really a very dominant force. What we did in our Rimon training was also to give them, first of all, the theoretic knowledge of why is it important, and show them how tweets and posts on Facebook really shape the environment, and how you can communicate with your enemy, how you can communicate with legislators, decision makers around the world if you run a good campaign on social media.
Relatively new for the IDF is this, I don't know if it's the right phrase, but kind of a snark campaign. You kind of troll your enemies effectively. You get video views, you get retweets, you raise awareness on issues because you tap into social issues, popular song lyrics, memes. You use that to your advantage,
so
right?
Just like Yaniv said, you have to be relevant to the target audience. Now,
social media is young.
Exactly. And if you want to get your message across, it has to be relevant. It has to be at the pace, tone, and have the content that is relevant to whom you're trying to reach. Now, yes, we use snark, cynicism, humor, and lots of other creative tools. We do it very deliberately, but the aim is to expand our reach. Today, the IDF, the English, Spanish, French, and Russian social media accounts that the IDF has, we have more than 5.3 million followers around the world. That is not comparable to any other military in the world, and that's a great operational tool that we have at our disposal.
And you've seen that because of the content you're putting out there.
Yes, the content, we are seen as a primary source of go-to information. And what we try to do in our unit with very young and talented 18, 19, and 20 years old is to take a complex message, boil it down to the target audience, and then present it in such a way that people feel compelled to share it and to deliver our message forward.
What do you think, Yaniv, perhaps are some of the most important takeaways for these commanders who are now ambassadors and representatives to the foreign media? Things that they learned from career journalists and diplomats and even politicians. What's the most important thing you think they took away from it?
So first of all, I think they understand better the arena. They understand better the area in which they operate. And they have better tools to do it, better understanding of who is standing in front of them, and better understanding of different target audiences, as I said. And we cooperated with the IDF spokesperson and with Jonathan and his wonderful team in building them with a tailor-made suit for them, for their specific positions, for the specific messages that they would convey on international media, and on different aspects of where they convey the message. And on a personal level, it was amazing to see the progress. 10 weeks with 20 officers, 20 excellent officers. We came with a lot of, they were very enthusiastic about the work. And the progress, the improvement that they've made in the way that they convey the message, they understand, they answer questions, they understand the different platform.
Yeah.
Totally engaged, and I was proud to take part of this program.
Yep. Really exciting stuff. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us. Yaniv Cohen, Lieutenant Colonel Conricus.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations on the success of the Rimon program. If you don't speak Hebrew, Rimon means pomegranate. It's an intentional name, the bounty, right?
Exactly, the bounty, the beauty of the land of Israel and the state of Israel, to spread that, the beautiful face of the IDF.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much for being with us on the Zoom In program.